What's going on, guys? Big Fry here, and I have some thoughts I want to get out of my head. So I hope you guys enjoy this series. I have a lot of opinions on the gaming industry, some great, some not so great. I like to express them here, as well as on my weekly podcast. You guys can click the link on my banner. These videos are meant to be an in-depth discussion on a certain topic, so enjoy. This video's topic spawned from a tweet from a good friend and fellow co-host of the podcast, actually. His name's Prediction. His tweet said, "Gamers don't appreciate games these days." And although I may agree to a certain extent, I believe some people are entitled. I believe the gamers are starting to open their eyes to the business side of gaming. With the way the internet has exploded in the last decade, we're able to see up-to-the-minute happenings within the industry, and a growing number of gamers are starting to take notice to the practices. Video games, as well as their business practices, have changed immensely. One of the companies that are constantly under fire from this are EA. So let's take a look at their most successful franchise and see why they're getting so much backfire from gamers. So you have The Sims. That's their most notable game. Of course, you have Battlefield, you have the EA Sports games. But when I think of a game that needs to be discussed in depth about this shit, I think of The Sims. Now, the original Sims launched in 2000. It came with 7 expansions and 2 deluxe editions. 4 years later, The Sims 2 launches with a number of huge improvements and changes. It's regarded as the best game in the series by far. That game was amazing. Soon after, 8 expansions and 9, they call them stuff packs, were released as well. And over 400 items were released in the Sims store. 5 years later, 2009 hits, Sims 3 launches with a number of changes. However, it didn't make the leaps that 2 did from its predecessor. Soon after that, 11 expansions, 9 stuff packs were released with over 3,000 items in the store. With a total cost to own everything that The Sims had to offer without sales or discounts was a little under $75,000, if you guys can believe that. 4 years after that, Sims 4 launches with a number of features stripped from the core game. Most are speculating that these features are going to be added later. I don't know what their business model is. I imagine it's going to be like that. When you guys just look at the progression that the store has, it started with 4,000, the next one had 3,000, it started 400 and then up to 3,000. This one's probably going to have, 100,000. I don't know. So we went from 7 expansions with 2 deluxe editions to 11 expansions with over 3,000 items. This is why this franchise has really shit the bed for me and for a lot of other people. People are pissed off. Features consistently being stripped, yet EA expects us to fork over more money for an incomplete experience. It's just fucking bullshit. Games used to mean something. When you bought a game or rented a game or whatever, you took it home, you plugged it in, and that was it. Yeah, some were bad, some were great. Gaming developers used to take pride in their work, and now you can see a lot of companies are just doing this to make a quick buck. And rightfully so. You guys are companies, it is a business, but gouging your consumers makes us not trust you and makes people like me very cynical. And that's not who you want buying your games, because we're going to buy it with the expectation that we're going to have to fork out more money once we plug it into the system, which is never a good thing. Releasing games and patching the shit later, to me, is unacceptable. But in the market nowadays, it's just standard practice. And that's why I'm really sour about Destiny. Destiny was an okay game. It was a meh game. It had nothing special about it. When Bungie released Halo 3, they released a full game. Multiplayer map, game modes on those multiplayer maps, a full, fleshed out, single player and co-op story. You could play that game co-op with a friend. Their DLC, to me, was justified. They added stuff that was worked on after the fact. When I look at Destiny, I see them already creating a cash grab system where they release minimal content just to hold us over until the next DLC. But to hide this fact, it was advertised as an MMO with monthly updates, just like an MMO. Bullshit. Activision and EA, gamers are starting to take notice. Watch the fuck out. And this is why it pisses me off that no one will take notice of H-Hour. When you have tactical shooters like Rainbow Six starting to make a comeback, people are still unwilling to look at games that decide to change up the formula. If it's not COD, or if it's not Battlefield, or if it's not DayZ, nobody gives a shit. However, everybody cries out that they want COD to start switching it up. They're sick of the monotony. But when a developer has a successful Kickstarter to create a proof of concept demo, a successful Steam greenlight, as well as a plethora of decade-old fans screaming out for a chance to be heard and a chance for their game and their project to be made, those cries fall on deaf ears. I don't fucking get it. The gaming industry is fueled by money and greed. With that being said, we're the ones holding the nozzle, standing out at the pumps and filling their pockets. I'm not calling for a boycott because those never work. What I am calling out for is change. Start putting your trust in honest developers and stop buying into companies with a small development budget and a huge marketing budget, because that's what Destiny and a bunch of other games, Titanfall being a huge example, that's what those games are. Companies like Rockstar have earned my respect. That being said, this release on last gen, then next gen a year later, then PC 6 months later, seems like a really shallow and shitty attempt to reach into our pockets and scrape the bottoms. GTA 5 did not need to release a year early on last gen. That was just a reason to get people to buy it so that they could play it right now. They could have had a simultaneous release with their multiplayer servers coming on maybe a month after launch, just like they did last year. And mark my fucking words that Destiny will be released on PC next year. I guarantee it. Anyways, guys, that's enough for me. This is kind of a shorter episode. I hope you guys like it. Leave some comments. Let's have a discussion about this. If you want to get me on Twitter, it's @BigFryTV. You guys can see the link up at the banner if you're watching this on my channel. And let's talk about it. Let's start getting involved here, and let's start kicking down the doors of this shit, because there's a lot of bullshit going on that people maybe aren't paying attention to. I know a growing number of people are. So let's start opening people's eyes.